Hey, welcome to Odd Musings, episode number 219. How's it going, Scott?
It's going well, thank you. How about you?
Doing all right. Doing all right. We've survived the torrential storms of Michigan. I know there's some people still without power, unfortunately, almost a week later, but most people are getting their power back now.
Yeah, it's surprising how. Yeah, the other day I was watching the news and they were talking about how many people still were without power. I was surprised by that because out here there was very little disruption. There were some downed trees and stuff, but power-wise, we were very fortunate.
I know around me, we kept power. We lost it for about an hour at the most. In Milan, where my brother lives, he lost it for a few days. Didn't get back, I think, till Saturday night. And then Sumter is just getting power back on. They had to cancel the drumming classes, the cardio drumming classes there at the roller rink. But they're back there tonight. They finally got power back on yesterday, I believe it was. And that took a while. So I think it's just depending on the area they're in. The rural areas sometimes a little more rural and city took it a little bit harder because they had to go out, and I know a couple areas had to go out in areas that were just not easy to take a look out to find the down lines or the blown transformers.
So if you live in the Belleville area and you start hearing some thunder tonight, don't worry, it's just the cardio drumming class.
Yes, and hopefully everybody will come out. It's a fun class. I've done it.
Bring in the thunder.
It's a good thing. So,
like Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
In all seriousness, though, Connie's been doing that cardio drumming for a while now. I had never heard of it till she did, but since then I've heard other people. It looks like a really fun thing.
Yeah, it's a good workout. You can definitely get. I've done it. I said you definitely feel it when you're done because you're doing different movements than you normally do in the gym, or even just like running or walking. So it's a lot of different things, and so it's
like
there's a lot of people that do it. So.
A large like medicine ball or something, and you're actually
it's the workout. The big yoga balls, they like to call them now, and they put them in a big tub, and then you have drumsticks, and you're just banging away on the ball as well as the where it's bass on it and all that stuff. So it's and you're a lot of movement, movement of the entire body, not just drumming like this. So you're moving your whole body, and they do different things. They do some strength training with some weights and things like that too.
And they come back sweaty. I mean, it's a workout.
Oh yeah. Brandy's done it with Mom. In fact, I think Brandy does it in the Oasis there where Kevin and her set up their little area in the garage, and so it's a good workout. It's a good cardio, all body workout. That definitely, if you're not into going to the gym, I think this is a great way because you have fun. You got great music and everything else. So. Hey, someone from Bardstone Publishing says good morning.
Hey, well, look at that. I'm guessing
Kevin. He must be signed in under Bardstone.
Very good. Well, nice to have you, Bardstone.
Yeah.
One of the things too. I'm not going to get deep in COVID stuff, but to me, one of the big letdowns with everything that's happened is there really nobody has really put the focus on healthy living and the benefits. People who exercise, vitamin D, zinc, all those things, they are proven to work unbelievably well. And, cardio drumming is just one of those things, those outlets that you can do. You join a gym, go for walks outside, whatever, but get out, especially in Michigan, we have winter coming and we are a huge vitamin D deficient state in the winter. Because we're indoors so much and we don't get that sunlight. So get out there. It's sunny here where I am at. Get out there while you can for the next couple months. Get some cardio in. Get some healthy living in. It'll do you a world of good this winter.
Yeah, I know. I always say I have a multivitamin I take, but I just take an additional vitamin D supplement and have for several years, and that's helped out a lot. Mm-hmm. I've told people, I said, I know I'm overweight, and I need to continue to work on my weight challenges and things like that, but I come through very healthy in a lot of ways just because of the fact that I do take vitamins. I just have to eat better. So, hey, there he is. Kevin's back signed up under his once again. So
it's not that we're overweight; we're under tall.
Yeah, okay. I'd have to be like 8'5". So, the thing I've told people too, even like when those that have chosen to get the like Pfizer, Moderna 2 shots, and the thing I told someone once, I said, what you want to do is somebody was like, I'm planning I took the first one, the second one's coming. I know I'm going to be like knocked out for like 2 days because it's what's doing everybody. I said, no, as soon as you get the shot, go for a walk, hydrate like crazy before and afterwards if you're going to do it,
That's,
and keep moving. Because the thing is, if you don't, then it just settles there. But if you keep moving, people I know that said they went and worked or they exercised afterwards, stuff like that, had very little effects from the shots as versus those people that didn't.
Yeah. Even for outside of that realm, years ago, I went through years of chemotherapy for my lupus when it was out of control and stuff, and they had to use chemotherapy to knock my immune system down. They thought I was crazy, but they hydrate you to clear it out of your system, because with the chemo, basically you're poisoning yourself. You're trying to kill off, it's just killing you, and you're hoping you're killing more bad than good. But the second the treatment's done, it's all a race in time to purge it from your system. So they hydrate you a lot, so you pee it out. But that's only one of your body systems. It gets into a lot of systems. So I was big into, like, as soon as it was done, I was doing squats and stuff in my room with the IV hooked up. And the second I was discharged, I'd go straight to the gym and do a massive workout, sweat like crazy. And it kicked my butt because you're exhausted. But I'll tell you what, my side effects were almost none. I no nauseousness. I would be back to work because I cleared it out of my system, Yeah. And when you just let it go out slowly, your body it ravages you. And I think, like, to your point with what you're saying with the shot too, same thing. Hydration. We are a very dehydrated country.
Yeah. See, I'm always drinking something. I still feel like I don't drink enough.
Yeah. Yep. Got my water here.
Yep.
I drink 6 of these a day. And then probably about 8 of these a day, but those have caffeine, so those dehydrate. But then I also have some other things I drink too. But I get at least a gallon of water. I'm back on that now. And it makes a difference.
Yep. No, it does. And I think it's the key to everything, not just fighting COVID, but just anything. Is you want to stay hydrated, push the water more than sodas. And that includes the diet. So many people push the diet sodas. And I personally feel diet is the worst thing for you of any of the sodas. So that's why I refuse to drink it. Yep. And they're always coming up with these new zero sugar type stuff saying, see, it's this, that. It's not healthy for you because your body still translates it into sugar. Right. And there's that documentary on Netflix that talks about that, so definitely check that out. But if you have I like having a soda. I like my Coca-Cola. Once I'll get a Faygo, things like that. I had a Coke last night at the movies. We were talking about Free Guy. I went and saw that last night. But when people say, just switch to diet, I was like, I'd rather just go to water. Oh yeah. At that point, I'll stick with water on that. So,
and but hey, let's get about health.
Yep. I was saying, let's get some ads out because I was just going to go right to that. We got Loringer Family Chiropractic Center, PC, located in Belleville, Michigan, and Dexter, Michigan. They take great pride in providing the finest chiropractic care to each and every patient. Offering on-site digital x-rays, massage therapy, orthotics by foot levelers, young living essential oils, aromatherapy, full line of vitamins, all in a family-oriented environment. Give them a call, 734-697-4244. Located online at LoringerFamilyChiropractic.com. We have a link at Odd Musings. And we have up here for you guys to see the Facebook page at Loringer Family Chiro. You can check them out there. If you're on your phone, you can click call now and give them a call and get a consultation going. This is another way to stay healthy through chiropractic care. Adjusting the body, allowing the body to naturally heal itself is a great way to go. And personally, I'm not for all the pills and everything else that they want to push. I'm for vitamins. Those are about the only pills I want to take. But everything else, a lot of times, if you go and start doing some chiropractic care, things like that, these can help you be much more healthier in the long run. So definitely check out Loringer Family Chiropractic. And if you don't have them anywhere near you, go and check out your local chiropractor. And we also have
Team Titans Real Estate. Why? Because you matter. That's right. At Team Titans Real Estate, we utilize all the latest tools and social media and technology and apps and all those fun things to improve your home buying experience. But we never forget, at the end of the day, it's still about you. It's a personal system where, getting involved with you, your personal goals. You don't want a cookie cutter approach because one size does not fit all when it comes to real estate. So that's what we're here for. I did want to show real quick. Here's our website, teamtitansofrealestate.com. You can create a private account in there, do your own searches, get notifications, or give us a call and we will set up those for you. But I did want to show you really quick because everyone's always talking about what is the market doing. And I was reviewing the July numbers that just got published, and it's pretty interesting. because everyone's asking, are we in a bubble and is our prices going to plummet? But here's an interesting chart to look at. These are average prices for the state of Michigan. And what you see here, let me get to that screen so I can follow. There we go. This goes all the way back to 2003 when they started tracking it online. Average home prices for Michigan were $140,000. It went up. The peak was roughly around here in 2006, $148,000. Then we had the crash that lasted many years. Here we are, 2012. We were all the way down to the low was right around 65,000 or so in 2011. Okay. Now we've been going up. Now everyone's feeling like, prices can't keep going. Year after year, people are like, I'm going to wait till next year. Prices can't keep up. And then they keep going up and up and up. We're averaging like 15%, 13% per year. And so those people who have sat out waiting for everything to crash, prices keep going up. And we're all the way up to 210. Here's the interesting part. If you draw a straight line here, going all the way back on how the trend used to be, and you keep, now this is very rough. I don't have a ruler here, but if you go up roughly, we're right about, the intersection point is right about where we are now. So are we really in this bubble that's going up, or is this just a massive correction to get us back on track of where we would have been if prices slowly went up over time? You know what I mean? So, time will tell. The information.
Well, and I definitely should. I'm gonna see that, and as things go up and down, even if we hit what people could think is a bubble burst, from looking at the way that where we're located at, the drop wouldn't be that low drop there. It would come down to where it was at the peak in 2006, I would think. It's my speculation on that. So it's not going to go way down. It's going to kind of, it may dip down to that would be the lowest it would go if we have that big a crash again. I don't think we're going to have that big a crash.
And the market conditions are different
pricing and
now.
inflation's up quite a bit. So not just in
across
homes,
the
but everything.
Across the, like right now, this is showing a 13.6% increase. The food industry, gas industry, all these different industries, they're all reporting. I've heard up to 20% increases in prices depending on the industry. So we're still in line with what's happening industry or nationwide in all industries. So my point is this: you ultimately have to decide what's right for you and what you believe. But just know the numbers. This may just be a new normal. This may not be a bubble that's going to burst, and there's evidence to support that. So if you're thinking about holding out for another year, just know a house that's 200,000 today, if we go up another 15%, you're going to be able to afford houses that are like 180 today instead of 200. And meanwhile, your value would have gone up from 200 to 230. We have cases here where people we personally know who bought a house from us a year and a half ago, their houses have gone up tens of thousands of dollars in just a year and a half. So that's the other point too. If you bought your house in the last couple of years and you're paying PMI insurance, you had put less than 20% down, give us a call. We'll hook you up with somebody who can do a refinance for you, because typically just the amount of equity you gained in the house, you can probably get your PMI waived and save you a lot of money. So that's my tip today.
I got quite a few people that have been doing refinances this last several months, and some are looking at it, had done it last year, are looking to be able to do it again here soon, because as long as interest rates are low, take advantage of it.
Take advantage of it. So give us a call. My number is 586-549-6096, and Jill Webler is 586-277-2145.
Very cool. A lot of interesting stuff going on there. Yeah, I've been, every day when I go shopping, I hear from some of the guys that work in the stores there, especially like the meat area, talking about how much the prices are going up, costs are going up. A lot of them blame it on just the gas prices going up. But the other thing is, as my mom pointed out to me, is like in Montana, the cost of corn has skyrocketed because they haven't got enough feed corn for the cattle. So we start seeing that. We may see a dip in pricing in meats, but it'll be a temporary, because if they have to slaughter more than they planned on because they have a lack of feed corn, then the next year they will reduce breeding, and that will put a shortage in.
And I've been at multiple restaurants over the last 2 weeks where I've been told, we're sorry, we're out of chicken, we're out of steak, we're having supply issues getting it in. So I think we're going to see more and more of that too, where
and supply issues are everything. Fortunately, I've had a lot lately. A lot of my regulars, but I've had a few people I'd never dealt with before that got a little upset with me when things aren't in stock and blame a little bit of me, blame Meyer. And I'm like, no, the problem is the supply chain. I said, some stores, you may be able to go to another store and find that one thing you wanted, but they got lucky. They got that shipment. Even with Meyer, what they're sending to the stores, since I deal with them mostly, is sometimes their own distribution center just sends whatever. But it's also what they're getting from the manufacturers too. So it is limited. There's times I walk in full of stuff and it's gone real quick because people are still, when they've been missing stuff for a couple of weeks, they go in and they overbuy it still. So they're buying way too much of certain things. But it's the shelves sometimes are getting a little cleared out in certain items, kind of like it was when COVID first hit. Not entirely. Nobody's wiping out the entire stores, but it is getting wiped out a little more, or it's just not showing up. I see this from cereals to frozen foods to canned goods, things like that. So, and also my personal belief is they are holding back on some product because they want to have it towards the holidays. They did this last year. Like pumpkin's been a very difficult thing to get in cans. And then all of a sudden come mid-October last year, here come the pallets. And because they know that's when people really are going to want it. And they don't want to flow through it now, and then comes the holidays, have nothing, and holidays is their biggest time. So,
and just like other industries, they're also having staff shortages, so they can only have so many production lines going at once. I've been to restaurants where we went to a restaurant a couple weeks ago, and they said it was a 2-hour wait. You look, it was 70% empty, but they had such a staff shortage, they couldn't fill the restaurant. They wouldn't be able to serve everyone, because they didn't have enough people, enough cooks.
Well, it's the same thing with the grocery stores with cashiers. I had a couple in front of me, and the woman was getting a little, I want to say she's getting a little pissy about it. And she goes, well, they just should open more registers. I looked at her and said, do you know anybody looking for a job? They have nobody else. I've been here all day. Right. And this was mid-afternoon. And she kind of looked at me. I said, yeah, I'm a shopper with Shipt. I said, I don't work for Meyer. I said, they've got everybody here that can run a register. They got people still trying to stock the floors. I said, they're running at about a 45% capacity. And so they need another 55% of the people. They need another like 60 employees is what they needed.
Yeah. So
people are getting upset.
They either have to do like that, where the capacity is very low and you have to wait in lines, or they increase capacity, but then they have to slash their hours because they don't have enough workers to work that many shifts for a full day.
And that's what they're running into, is just lack of people. I was working on Sunday, and I was like, and I was going to try to work a little bit more, and I said, no, I'm not going to. They didn't have anybody to stock produce. So the produce was getting almost empty. I'd hit all the numbers I wanted to hit anyways. I was just trying to get maybe an extra couple in. I said, I think I'm done. Because I just knew showing up and trying to shop, and the fact that they didn't have anybody to stock the thing. They was looking, they had like 4 registers open. Both ends of self-checkout were packed. I was like, this is not going to be a good day to continue working. That's the beauty. I had the choice on that stuff. So, but you can't. Yeah, but you can't blame the workers that are there for the fact that they don't have enough workers. So I keep hearing these stories in all the different industries, and people need to wise up and realize that your self-entitlement doesn't go here anymore, and realize that the people that are working, you should praise them because they are showing up every day and not home collecting the extra $300 on top of unemployment every week.
Yeah, hopefully. And I'm sorry, but our country's screwed. We're just so screwed. I mean, I don't know. Welcome to communism. That's where we're at. It's the history of every country. The more you go to that extreme, the longer the lines get, the longer the waits get, the less the workers are. I mean, go look at Venezuela. And don't give me, no, you don't understand. This is democratic socialism, communism. No, it's all the same. Just putting an extra adjective in front does not change it.
Right.
So this is the world we live in. People get paid to stay home, and my worry is people will realize it too late. It's the supply. As long as people are comfortable and it's not interrupting their lives, they're fine with it all collapsing around them. But one day it will impact us, and we're going to wake up to find out you have to wait 4 hours for a loaf of bread, and that won't be good.
We're going to get there.
Anyways, on to happy thoughts.
Yeah, let's move on. So we've got Bad Batch. We haven't talked about Bad Batch in a few weeks because I was gone when I was because last week I was gone.
Yeah, we have to cover the
Actually,
last
I was
3
still in
episodes.
the area. Yeah. Real quick on that, had a great time with the Minor family, with the kids. We went and saw the Hella Mega Tour with Green Day, Fall Out Boy, and Weezer, opened by the Interrupters. Were fantastic. All 4 bands were just phenomenal. They threw it all out there and just had the best show I think I've seen in a long time of any concert. I never felt like they were phoning it in. They were just so happy to be back for the crowds again. And for Fall Out Boy, they had missed the previous, I think, 3 concerts because they had an exposure, so they had to wait until they got cleared for that. So Detroit was their first time back in several days, so they were happy to be back playing, and they put on a heck of a show, that's for sure.
When someone had encountered an exposure, that used to mean somebody flashing.
I know. So, but some of our team, I don't know if it was actually one of the performers. I think someone on their team actually, supposedly had COVID or got exposed to it, so they had to make sure nobody else got it. So, but Bad Batch, yeah. Here's Omega, as you can see there, and
I have to say my spoiler-free review, real quick.
Yeah,
those last 3 episodes was like OMG. It was amazing. Everything about it was perfect. And
yeah, I liked it a lot. The only thing about it for me was, and it's not really a negative because I really enjoyed the heck out of it. It's great storytelling, some of the best storytelling we've got. I almost expected a little more of a ending that had more of a cliffhanger. Kind of like what we had with Rebels and stuff like that, but they kind of went more Clone Wars on this, which is fine, and kept it a little more subtle. But it was an ending I expected with the. Well, we should just get right into spoilers. So
yeah, let's go in.
Yeah, with the destruction of Kamino.
But here's what's cool about it. I suspected we were going to get that storyline. As a longtime fan, I knew the Legends version of the story. So I love how Filoni is able to tie in this stuff, but do it in a way where even if you're a hardcore fan that knows the other version, you're still surprised. And he still tells it in a fresh way that is still wholly satisfying.
Oh, yeah.
The other thing
we got a great, and of course, it's more than just the overall experience. He really wanted to make sure he specified within the group.
Yes. But also what's awesome is he made Kamino, in a way, a character. It felt like, because it was such an established location throughout the Clone Wars cartoon, throughout the prequels, that watching the fall of Kamino, it did have an impact. You felt like a main character had just died. So, and they did a great job, even with some small shots showing the impact on even the regulars, clone troopers. You could tell, like, watching Kamino burn was hard on them. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, we've been seeing this big transition throughout this whole first season from the Republic to the Empire.
Yeah,
we're seeing it play out. We saw it play out on multiple levels, from the Order 66 to the clones that don't have their chips or the chips malfunctioned, to actually even choices, because we learn now from this very last episode about Crosshair is he had removed his chip.
Yes.
But he made a choice, and his choice was, he always felt, was the loyalty. So, so it's just kind of the interesting on that. So it's that one of the characters, they're all brothers. Brothers has always been a thing pushed through all the clones, is they're all brothers, and have one that kind of goes against them, though he still is kind of following his training, is kind of an interesting dynamic they created there.
Yeah. And then the other thing, I'm gonna put this up real quick here. The other amazing part, once again, Filoni fully understands Star Wars fans and the history and everything. The reveal of the new Stormtrooper design, which is really Ralph McQuarrie's original Stormtrooper design. So we're seeing the transition now away from the Republic design of the clone armor to the McQuarrie design of Stormtrooper armor. So I was like, as a Uber nerd, when I saw them reveal this Stormtrooper, I was like, yes, they got the McQuarrie design. And so, for those who know,
Filoni's been great of throwing in the some of the original Macquarie designs all through everything he's done.
Yeah, here's the original painting of that Macquarie did way back when. You can see their stormtroopers had lightsabers in the original design. There's a little, we call it a thermal detonator that's on the back. That's what it is now. But in the original designs, it was a detachable lightsaber that they wore on the back of their belt, and they carried shields. But so there you can see the original painting, and up here, the new design. So they did a phenomenal job of translating it over. So absolutely loved it. But go ahead.
No, it's been phenomenal on that. I love that they revealed that. So that's what we're going to see more in the second season is the Macquarie design of the stormtroopers. Also curious to see what we're going to see going forward with the group. I mean, the last 2 episodes dealt with them going back to Camino to rescue Hunter. And then of course being kind of stuck there and then running into Crosshair, his group, and then also seeing how the Empire really does not care for any of the troopers. All the troopers, all the clone troopers are completely expendable to them, as well as anybody they deem to be. So that's what we saw there in Camino.
Yeah,
so it's like it was a matter. Yeah, go ahead.
They're following that design of how ruthless the Empire is. It's you're disposable, and if there's any connection to the old ways, any dictator regime when they take over, one of the first things they do is topple statues. Burn all the past history. They want any remnant, anybody who has a memory of the old ways, they want gone. And that's what the Empire is kind of doing here. And Camino represented that, so for the clones and others. So they also want to make sure there's no competition. They don't want someone else building a clone army. So I think that moving forward, though, because we saw one of the Caminoans, the science officer there, brought over to the Empire. So I have a feeling season 2, we're going to see the implementation of the Emperor's clone program for himself to extend his life. Because they've touched on it in Mandalorian and others as well. So it's definitely a running theme there. I think Filoni is slowly building up a backstory to establish what happened.
Even within Mandalorian, with dealing with the whole Palpatine cloning himself, it was also with Grogu, because he has the midi-chlorians and tying that in, and there's always look at creating a force enhanced product, basically more than just an actual clone, but a controllable product that could be used to dominate and control the galaxy.
Yeah, what we're seeing here, I think, is a perfect example of how you properly retcon something. Somebody like Filoni is so knowledgeable on the ins and outs of the history and characters involved here that he is weaving a story together that explains what happens in episode 9. And he's doing it in a way so you will feel like it was in place all the time. And it really wasn't. Yeah. But that's what he's creating. And that will, I think it'll make episode 9 even more satisfying as time goes on.
Yeah. And it's, I think it's something needs to be done. Instead of completely just removing the last 3 movies, they'll do stuff around it to kind of justify some stuff, but then allow them to go on and tell better stories all around it. So I'm really excited about everything doing. I'm excited. It got this week. I found out they got renewed prior to the final episode last week. So we know there's a second season for sure. And it's coming next year. So it's already been in production.
Yeah.
So they didn't give us a release date just yet, but it's going to be in 2022.
Yeah. So, as far as a first season goes, it was phenomenal. It doesn't have the usual first season feels that a show has, but to be fair, is it really a first season or just a continuation of the Clone Wars cartoon? So
it's such a mix of both. You get we learned about the Bad Batch through the final season of the Clone Wars they created for Disney Plus, so we get to understand them and see who they were initially, and then kicking off in this new one is when they threw everything into flux, and we got to see what happened to them from that episode, and then learn a little bit more about the characters themselves. When we realize that as they're going on, they all initially wanted to serve, but they served the Republic, this new empire. They understand Crosshair's the only one that basically crossed over and became one of them, but because he wants to continue to be, all he understands for himself is being a fighter, being a trooper, and everything else. It also shows that as much as the clones were all created to be the same, even within this batch that was meant to be different, everything we've always seen with the main characters of the clones themselves is they all end up developing their own personalities.
Yeah.
So they do become their own person. So I think I thought it was always a great thing they did within the Clone Wars is they didn't just make the clones automatons in some ways, be exactly the same no matter what. They all started to develop their own personality and all from their own experiences, because not all of them were on the same missions, all of them were different things, and they dealt with different people, especially the different generals. So I think that was some great character that we saw through Clone Wars that really led into the Bad Batch here.
Yeah. The other interesting dynamic you get is the clones throughout they're all the same. So they fight for individuality. They customize their armor. They all do different haircuts, and some have tattoos, some don't. They do and they give themselves nicknames to really become individuals. So these are people who are all exactly the same, fighting for individuality. And then you get the Empire, where you have truly different people who are fighting to be one, where all the stormtroopers become the same armor, no individuality. They're all call signs. There's no nicknames. Don't remove your helmet. Like everything, it's interesting, the flip flop, So the one group understands the importance of individuality, where the other group is trying to become conformity.
And they're being that way. And of course, with the initial stormtroopers that we're learning through this, they're being conscripted, but it sounds like most of them are willing to serve for whatever reason. And then you get into the New Order stuff within 7, 8, 9, and we learned that they were basically they went to almost like they were taken at young and basically trained up as to adulthood to be stormtroopers, to be different whatever.
Well, if you think about
they weren't just conscripted, they were taken.
Yeah, from a psychological standpoint too, the people who are old enough to become stormtroopers, their entire life was growing up in the Republic that was at constant war. From their point of view, they don't understand that the Emperor was the one orchestrating the whole thing the whole time. So the Emperor creating this new empire for safety, he got everybody to trade their freedoms in for security, and they're all willing to sign up because they believe the lie that the Emperor told them. It was the Jedi. The Jedi was doing everything. When we know as viewers, it was the Emperor. So
it was all the manipulation through the media and everything else. And what they see is like, okay, and there's this group of people that wants to destroy this chance at a peace, and don't realize that really it's reversed, that the threats and the tyranny that is coming from within.
All part of the plan. Sounds familiar.
Oh yeah, it does.
All right, so enough Star Wars, but I loved it. I cannot wait for season 2.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. We've got the Book of Boba coming out towards Christmas, and then another season of Mandalorian, and I'm excited to see all the stuff they're going to tie in all around that. And definitely everything has been really cool about this. And there is a new anime Star Wars thing coming out on Disney Plus. Not too sure about that. It sounds a little bit like a anthology series. And it'll be kind of interesting to see what they're going to do there, what time is it placed in. If it's the High Republic stuff, I really won't care, because I've not seen anything in the High Republic I really care to read.
They can pretend like that stuff is successful all they want. I don't see anybody posting on it anywhere. I'm in tons of Star Wars groups. I forget it's even there.
Yeah, nobody cares. There was a bad mistake. They should have gone with the Knights of the Old Republic and went from that realm.
Yeah.
So, but hey, we'll see. So, but yeah, so we got a Bad Batch, and then I did see a movie before. I'm not going to get too much, so spoiler free. But if you have Apple TV, I recommend watching the movie Coda, and it stars Marlee Matlin on it, and the main 3 of the 4 main characters are deaf in real life. The one character is not meant to be deaf in the movie, so she is full hearing in that. But it's very interesting to watch.
Don't know who she is. She's also deaf. She's a deaf actress from Beverly Hills 90210 or Melrose Place, one of those.
Well, I think she watched that, but she won the Oscar at 21. I'm blanking on the movie right now, but she came out of nowhere playing a deaf character, of course. But she's done a ton of stuff, guest appearances, tons of movies. She's been on a long time. She's been an advocate for deaf actors, stuff like that. And all the actors in this that were the main 3 that were deaf were fantastic. It's a lot of subtitles because, of course, they're translating the sign language. But something that we've talked about I mentioned to Scott last night was with the quiet places, the deaf people are not quiet. and they kind of they touch on that in a scene in this, but they don't harp on it through the whole thing. But it's kind of, and there's a couple of scenes actually where they're loud because they don't think anybody's around, or because they can't hear anybody walking in the house, and so it's kind of, and there's a lot of humor, a lot of family stuff. It's a good coming of age film. With a little different perspective on some things, but I really enjoyed it a lot, and I definitely recommend it on Apple TV.
Yeah. So the important thing with Marlee Matlin being behind this is she being deaf. This is going to be an authentic story.
Yep,
with authentic experiences included.
And I saw an interview with her, and she said that when they came to her and then they wanted to have hearing people, she said, "I'm out." And she had no hesitation. I go, "What do you mean you're out?" She goes, "If you're going to hire hearing people to play deaf people, I'm out." Mm-hmm. There's deaf actors that can play these roles.
Yeah, and they're completely capable. There's no reason,
Yeah.
So good for her for standing her ground, and it gives it that much more authenticity as a movie.
Yeah, and it was good. And you deal with prejudice of being deaf versus deaf people, not understanding some things, even within their own families that have hearing people versus non-hearing. So.
Yeah, when I worked with somebody who was deaf, I got to learn a lot about the deaf culture. It was very interesting. Even like I would ask her, because I was learning sign language, and she was actually a sign language teacher for the Michigan School of the Deaf. So I would practice at lunch, and so I would ask questions like for things hearing people don't think about, like alarm clocks. Like, how do you set an alarm clock? And so there are ones that are set up to lights that can go on. But one of the old school methods the deaf use is they will drink a certain amount of water at a certain time at night, because they'll learn over time what time they'll have to get up to pee from drinking that water. So that I'm like, wow, that's an interest, and I thought about it. I was like, I do wake up the same time every night to go pee. So it's just they figure out what quantity of water and what time to drink it. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. One other thing, and then I'll get off the topic. Church. She hated going to deaf churches. I'm like, really? And she said it's because when you go to a hearing church, they play the music, and even though she can't hear the music, she could feel the music.
Yeah.
And she loved the feeling of the praise and worship and feeling the music playing. Whereas at the deaf church, there's zero music. And so she would go to a hearing church. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that was the thing, because the main character in Coda, she finds out she likes to sing, so she tries out for the choir and that. And but when the parents come pick her up at school early on in the movie, Dad's blaring gangster rap, and he likes he can feel the beat,
Feel it.
So it's a little embarrassing to have your middle-aged parents blaring gangster rap from an old pickup truck.
Right.
But so it's a little embarrassing on that trip. But he could feel the music and stuff like that. And that was kind of interesting. But at the same time, though, they didn't understand her wanting to sing. And main fear, though, is, and this isn't really a spoiler, main fear is they can't hear her, so they don't know if she's actually good or not good. And they didn't want her to get embarrassed more, because they were
trying to be protective.
Yeah. So in some ways, in other ways, it was, just them dealing with their own insecurities as well. So go see the movie. It's worth it. I definitely recommend that. So we've got also on Disney Plus, What If?
What If?
I watched the new one this morning. We won't get into that. Not going to get too much into all these, but definitely the first one was great with Agent Carter.
Yeah, first one I enjoy. I saw a lot of people. I saw mixed reviews. I really enjoyed the first one with Agent Carter. I thought they did a great job with it. I'm trying to remember the movie, though. So they pick out a very specific moment that was the game changer, her deciding to stay in the room. Mm-hmm. Do you recall what the actual scene was in First Avenger?
I think she wasn't. I think she was in the building, but she was put behind a glass wall or something like that.
Right. But how did that change the guy's decision to blow everything up? That's what I'm trying to remember. I'm like, wait, would her just deciding to, because What If should be if she makes a change, okay, I can see the branches forming of different realities.
I think what it was is that I think in the movie, though, the guy waited to make sure it worked before he tried to steal some of the stuff.
That's what I thought.
and that's where the difference was, because the guy, as soon as Rogers comes out and he sees it works, then he goes into action where he
Right.
decided to go. He did it before.
So the only weak spot for me was I felt her decision to stay in the room didn't explain why that guy chose to change his plan. You know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't he have stayed on course with what he ended up doing? Because her staying in the room didn't seem to make a difference to what choice he made.
Well, I think it might have been more of she saw him have something, and while he may have been waiting because she went into action, that's when it got blown.
So she forced him to blow up her.
I think her being there and seeing that instead of stepping back wherever she was supposed to have been.
Okay, so what this was is showing she had bad choices. She made a bad choice, and then it caused Steve's destiny to be completely thrown in the garbage can.
Right.
So Peggy ruined his future. Okay.
Yes.
I did enjoy this though.
No, I liked it a lot. From that point on, it was an interesting take on the character.
Yes.
I like they made references to things like the USO tour and stuff like that Rogers had to go through.
And then the interesting change Steve Rogers' future was.
Yeah. Well, he never got bigger, so he stayed small, but he ends up being a mech pilot. Iron Man, basically, yeah.
Iron Man, yeah. Tony Stark's dad.
Howard Stark.
Yeah, Howard Stark creates the Iron Man suit. So,
pretty much, yep.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting. But I really enjoyed it. I really think they're using this more as an origin story for their multiverse. So when they introduce these characters in live action, this will become the source material for their origins. What do you think?
I think there is a little bit of truth to that. I'm not sure how much they're going to pull from those versus this way of showing the different multiverses. I mean, the What If comics themselves were always like, here's a way of showing different versions. And then years down the road, they have actually pulled and introduced them as main storylines and redid some of this stuff. So it's been part of, the thing. But I always loved reading the comics. They were a lot of fun. Stuff like that. So, but yeah, this was good. I mean, we saw her become basically Amazonian at this point because
she became Wonder Woman in a way.
Yep. She's got the shield and everything else. And she basically did everything that Steve Rogers did, but but as the, basically she's of course she gave herself the captain name and so she's Captain Carter.
What about a spoiler-free review of today's episode?
This one is, I'll just give the basic premise. It is, what if Star-Lord was T'Challa from Wakanda? Yeah. And it was very interesting on this. One thing I liked about it, and I didn't pay as much attention to this first episode. I'm pretty sure they used a lot of the same voices, but this one has almost everybody you recognize as a character. They got them to do their own voice, including Chadwick Boseman. Chadwick Boseman did do the voice.
Oh, and they pull from past lines?
No, it sounded like he actually recorded it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. This has been in production for a couple of years, so he could have recorded it prior to his death.
Okay.
And because he passed away last year.
With the last one, I know they had a lot of the actual actors also. So, I think they're getting the whole cast together for these voices.
Yeah, and as I'm watching, I was going, man, it sounds exactly like Chadwick, and I was like, okay. And I watched the credits. I paused it, like pretty much almost everybody. Drax wasn't Drax; it was somebody else. But most of the main characters, Karen Gillan was in there, stuff like that. So it's Kurt Russell as a part, because they deal with the whole Star-Lord thing and that, and and it's a different Ravagers in terms of how they are and different characters. And
for me, I did not like this episode. I felt like the first one, I felt truly was. Okay, had these events happened, I could see this new reality forming. To me, you had to completely ignore the nature of certain people for this to happen.
They kind of made light of some of that too, and they dealt with the whole thing through the whole episode. And
just because it's T'Challa, like the whole universe, everyone just goes peaceful. Like
I felt it was more fan service, and it is dedicated to Chadwick. And they tried to do something where Chadwick was, because they probably knew they had to have known at this point what was going to happen with him.
Yeah.
But it was I don't know.
I felt the whole
It's
episode was just
as much as I
say
don't like
how
the term
great
fan service.
Chad is.
It was felt like fan service just to make him great, which I
Yeah.
like. Chadwick Boseman. I think he was a great actor, and he did a great job as Black Panther and many other roles too.
Yeah. Like there's a whole storyline with Thanos in this. I'm not going to get into, but I just feel like it ignores the whole premise of everything. I don't
really
know.
didn't make sense with the even the initial, like, oh, okay, this is why he comes this and they go off from there. So.
Well, I talked to him. Oh, okay. All right, that saved the whole universe.
Basically, basically Black Panther is the ultimate. Everybody loves him and he has zero faults. So
it's like his superpower. Maybe he has a super pheromone. But, so
that
was my only issue. It completely disregarded the nature of every character, I thought, in the episode. Mm-hmm. So that was my only. I was disappointed with that one because I was like, okay, this is a weird premise. I'm curious to see how they make this work. Mm-hmm. And the initial storyline of how the switch occurs, I could see that. I thought that fit, but when they jump to the present, that's where I was like, okay, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I was a little. I said I was very disappointed with how they chose to go about the storyline. I thought, okay, let's see what happens here, but it's pretty much right away. It was like, okay, they've completely made, went from having a character that nobody knew in the first Guardians as Star-Lord to where everybody knows Star-Lord.
So. And also the personality, they were trying too hard to give him some of Chris Pratt's humor. Like, I just don't feel like that would have been that character.
No.
Like some of the jokes, I'm like, would Black Panther say that? I don't know.
Yeah. Without getting any spoilers, the better story actually comes at the end and would have been a better story to tell.
I agree. I fully agree. But anyways, it's still worth the watch. I'm enjoying the animation style. They use a cell shading technique.
It feels a little cell shaded 3D rotoscope, but I'm sure it's all 3D done, and they're kind of trying to give it that 2D cell shaded look. Heavy black lines on all the characters.
It's like how they did that MTV. Was it MTV that Spider-Man cartoon was on?
Yes. Yeah. So there's been several things like that where they call it cell shading, and it's just that heavy look to it. It's interesting.
They've gotten better. They've gotten better at that technique, and I'm enjoying the technique because, especially since they're really trying to keep the appearances very consistent with the actors and the characters that were played originally. They give it a slight stylized version of it that, like, like skinny Steve Rogers. His ears were bigger and stuff. So they stylized it a little, but you can still tell what actor it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So I liked it.
They're doing a good job. I can't wait till next week's episode. Looking forward to that.
Same here.
So, but then we're getting close on time, so we're going to move right into.
Yeah, let's move the Free Guy.
I've been waiting for this movie for a couple years. So when I first heard about it, I love this type of movies.
We've literally been watching the trailer for this for a couple years.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. When it first started, I was like, okay, this is going to be fun, and it had to. My initial thing, spoiler real quick, was it felt exactly what I thought it would. I thought it'd be a little Ready Player One thrown in there, video game-ish, stuff like that, and that's kind of what you get out of it. And Wreck-It Ralph, yes. Wreck-It Ralph 2, yeah. I liked it. I liked it a lot. It was the characters were all fun. This is kind of the main group you see here. I forgot that because I remember seeing it a long time ago. But they really didn't push on this. Taika Waititi is in the
he's the
bad
movie. Guy.
He's the bad guy. So we're gonna give a little spoilers, guys. So if you haven't seen Free Guy, you guys, no.
But no, Free Guy. I gotta say, I went in here with zero. I didn't care about this movie. Mm-hmm. And hey, Ryan Reynolds, if you're watching, feel free to chime in. We'll put you on the air. But actually, it's funny because he did that trailer, the trailer review with Taika Waititi as Kurg from Marvel, and he was as Deadpool. And he even makes the comment, everyone says every role I do is me or something like that. And that's how that's how I started feeling like, okay, it's just Ryan Reynolds again, but it works in this movie. And his humor is great. that I can never say his name. Tiki Watiti.
Taika Waititi.
Taika. He is perfect in this movie as the bad guy.
He was a mix of a couple of other characters he's played. I felt he drew a little bit of inspiration from Grandma's Boy, the main computer bad guy in that one, who was kind of geeky. They had a very similar vibe in some ways, that kind of creepiness, but he's the older version of him.
Yeah, and then Buddy there, the security guard. I felt like somebody kidnapped
That's him right here.
Kevin Hart and Anthony, what's his name from Blackish?
Anthony Anthony Anderson, yeah.
Anderson. So it felt like they took Kevin Hart and Anthony Anderson and merged them into one person and became this guy.
I loved him. He was great.
He was great. Everybody was. The kid from Stranger Things.
Steve there.
Yep.
Yeah, and then the guy in the bunny suit, which
he was funny.
It was like, the thing is, because they're in a video game, you know, him and Steve from Stranger Things, they go in as cops to basically shut down the guy who's playing Guy, thinking it's someone outside that made a skin of a non-player character, which is against the rules. So he goes in as a pink bunny cop.
On steroids.
Yeah, and he looks like the bunny that was from Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, you know, from that, you know, I think it was Ted had stole the bunny from his little brother for Easter, so that's what he looks like there. So, and then you get the main girl here too. She was great in that, but the main premise of this whole movie was the fact that you had an non-player character, NPC, become aware. And then we find out that the main two people that kind of created the original software, which is the girl and then Steve from Stranger Things, had designed this original game that had AI that would learn. And basically it got triggered with him. And their whole thing is the girl's been suing Taika Waititi, saying he stole their technology. You know, they sold some stuff, but he would illegally use code that he wasn't supposed to. And their game is embedded within this high shooter action game. You know, it's basically like Grand Theft Auto on steroids.
Right. So the basic premise being like the Wreck-It Ralph part is to avoid the lawsuit. The bad guy is now going to destroy the whole world, delete it, so the evidence is gone. So Ryan Reynolds is fighting to save his world from deletion from within the virtual realm. So overall, it's a very predictable storyline, but even though it's predictable, it is so fun. And I think this has been my favorite movie of the year so far, which I went in here expecting nothing.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean, and the thing is, even with the Guy character, you get a character arc growth with him, because he comes from being the standard everyday character to when he becomes basically woke at this point and realizes there's something different, not fully understanding that he's in a computer and there's actually a real world. Mm-hmm. And then him going through his process and the character himself saying, okay, this is who I want to be as this character, without realizing that he's being a character. It's just who I want to be in my world. And he goes and does it and becomes actually a hero in the real world, where people are watching Blue Shirt Guy go through all the stuff he does and basically be a good guy instead of killing everybody.
I have a feeling this movie is actually will be received better now than if COVID didn't happen, because we all got used to getting stuck in a routine. It's just every day was the same, almost like a Groundhog Day thing. You wake up, it's a new day, but it's really the same over and over, and kind of there's no hope. It's like, what am I going to do today? The same old thing. So I think because of this last year, I think people identify with the character a little better too. And then also, I won't give away. There's some fun stuff here that we benefit from Disney's relationship with this movie, I'll just say. So look for some cameos that I think you will love. There were some key elements put into this that I know when I saw them, great joy swelled up within me. I was like, how cool is this? So
I love the little stuff. There's a lot of little hidden Easter eggs.
If you're a huge,
you may recognize some of the. There's a lot of YouTube actual gamers that were part of this in terms of being within the thing, commenting. Really cool. But I also saw a couple days ago, Ryan Reynolds has confirmed that Disney wants to do Free Guy 2. And with the way they ended it, I think there is definitely some interesting elements that could be brought into this, especially if you're dealing with. I have a feeling though, because we joke about it being Wreck-It Ralph 2, is we might see more of like a Wreck-It Ralph 2 where he actually goes more on the internet and not just in their game server.
Except we might get because of the maturity of the people watching, we may get more real internet interaction versus. But
I liked it a lot. It's a movie I would go see. I would see it again
Jill
in the
actually
theater.
saw it twice.
Yeah, you're saying you told me last night she took her girls to see it, and
she usually only cares about a movie for popcorn, so that's why she saw it the first time. But she actually liked it, and she's like, "Hey, if you guys want to go see it again, I'll go." So she took the girls. So I was supposed to go, but I was busy with the real estate deal. But yeah, she loved it just as much the second time. So
yep.
So I think
awesome,
so far,
and we all know it's not
better than Black Widow. I liked it better than Suicide Squad. So I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, it's probably was the most fun I've had at the movies this year so far. Where I've enjoyed like Jungle Cruise and I enjoyed Black Widow. I watched Suicide Squad at home, but at the theater, I kind of just enjoyed the whole thing, and it was kind of it's a fun popcorn movie, but it was a fun popcorn movie where, like I said, it's a little predictable here and there. There's little treats and Easter eggs, but you just sat back and you just enjoyed the ride, and that's what I liked about it. Was the entire ride was just fun. So we'll see what they do with it. If they do another one, it'd be great. I enjoy Ryan Reynolds, and we've got a Deadpool 3 coming eventually, so maybe we'll get Deadpool 3 versus Free Guy. I don't know.
Very nice. I just want to touch on real quick. We won't get into it. We'll talk about it down the road, but I finally had time to start watching Masters of the Universe Revelation. There's been a lot of like love and hate on it. I gotta say, so far, I'm probably about halfway through. I'm really liking it. I like the storyline they put forth. I think yes, He-Man is not the main character of this season, but I think the premise they set up is perfect for this. So it feels like a proper continuation of the story. I'm looking forward to finishing out the series and see where this goes. Did I love everything about it? No, there's some things I didn't care for, but for the most part, I'm really liking it. So certain characters, the way they treated them, I just felt was a little whatever. But
I think with it too is the main key is this is people say, well, it's not really He-Man centric. Well, the name of the series is Masters of the Universe.
Yeah.
And so they're dealing more with actually, and you learn throughout this, there's more of a history to who was before He-Man, these Masters of the Universe and the power and everything else. So there's a lot more going on there. And
I'm really liking how they're doing Evelyn on this. That's who I'm like. I'm not crazy about Tila, but Evelyn, I really there's some interesting dynamics they're building up because I think this isn't a spoiler. Basically, with an event occurs and magic is fading away from Eternia, and you're getting a division between those who believe in magic and those who believe in technology. And it's interesting because it's kind of dividing the good guys and the bad guys into new groups, because in the bad guy side, there's those who are magic users and there's those who are technology users. So they're kind of splitting apart. Same with the good guys. And they're forming new alliances because of their shared visions of what they need.
And what I've really liked is we're seeing some of these villainous characters that barely got any screen time in the original series being given a little more time, a little more, thrown in there too, as they're dealing with all this stuff. So it's a lot of fun. I recommend it myself. I'm looking forward to part 2 coming out.
I'm enjoying the animation style. The animation style is great. It's fun. I am definitely on board with this, and I fully endorse this. You guys know my views on things. I usually have no problem telling it, and I am not having an issue with this series at all. I'm liking it.
Yeah. Oh, cool. And then I think last thing before we sign off here is the Kickstarter through Bardstone was successful. We had 100 backers for Poe Macabre 3.
Yes.
So we'll thank everybody for that. That was a lot of fun. We closed that out last Thursday. But stay tuned. We got some great things coming up with Crimson Shadows 3. Looking really good. We'll launch that in a few weeks
Evan's
here.
already moving
And
forward
then,
on the next Poe project too. So
yep. And then in a couple weeks here, I haven't told Scott this, but I'll verify the dates. We've got Bob from Blue Line's going to join us, and he's got a new book coming out.
Oh, good.
And
Yeah, originally we were going to have him on before, so I'm glad to hear he's coming on.
Yeah, so Bob Hickey's going to join us, and he had messaged me, and actually it's probably in my messenger through Facebook on that. And I told him definitely have him on. I'm going to double check the date here real quick, and then we'll let you guys go. But look forward to that. So here we go. Yep. They're launching a novel on the 14th of September. And so we're going to have him on Wednesday, the 15th.
Sweet.
And talk about his new book, which is tied into King Arthur.
Ooh,
so
very nice.
It's a new version of the Camelot they were going to do originally as a Kickstarter. So
very good.
So they'll be interested to see on that. So, hey, join us next week. We'll be around. Hopefully you guys will be too. If not, we'll see you when we see you.